That was just game one. Of course, it is going to be a best of two set that we're talking about here, where if you get 2 games, you get 3 points, and if you split, you get 1. So still trying to find a way to get at least 1 point here is CAZ going up against Myth Gaming. I want to talk to you all a little bit, though, about that Kuzenbo pick that we saw here in this game on Mr. Turtle. Do you feel like they got, because Shalaber, saying that maybe you weren't impressed with it, do you think they got what they wanted out of that Kuzenbo pick?
I don't. I think that they focus solo really hard, and if they're going to do that, he should be playing a more aggressive god. I'd rather see him on an Erlong or a Herc, someone where you're really going to be able to box the Osiris and mess him up. The Kuzenbo, I just don't think does it.
And I think Kuzenbo was too early in the draft for CAZ.
Yeah.
It was before the secondary ban phase that basically dictates your solo lane or Guardian and kind of pigeonholes you against such an aggressive solo jungle, which is what Myth did. They picked Osiris, they picked Sarkhet after the secondary ban phase, and they just kind of controlled that side of the map.
Well, let's see if they want to prioritize that one more time here. We got those picks and bans ready for game 2. CAZ, once again, going to be first pick in this game, and already taking that Fafnir off the board. They don't want to have to worry about inbound on that again.
And I think,
like that.
Yeah, the idea there is because it seemed like Crimson was pretty comfortable on the Soul as well, and Fafnir just helps Soul so much in the late game.
And that's a big deal, too, because, I mean, coming into this, I mean, everyone kind of thinks, Crimson best god is that Thoth, but on game 1, showing how well he can play that Soul, too. I mean, Shalaber, does that impact those picks and bans? Do you see him play something well earlier on in the tournament?
I think that the Fafnir was more influential than the Soul was, and I think that they played with it really well. That was their whole game plan. They were trading kills back and forth, but what made them get ahead was their objectives. They were getting every Gold Fury, every Portal. It was risky. They were 50-50, but they got it, So
The first
I think it was smart to ban Fafnir.
Yeah, the first one was very risky after they lost 3 people there. And that's how you could tell Myth was a little bit too confident, I think, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. They're trying to see what they can and can't get away with. Look how happy Myth is there. Just even during picks and bans, they're so loud.
And you were saying a little bit earlier that maybe they weren't quite comfortable. For me, it kind of looked like maybe they were a little too confident going into it. Maybe
That's
just
true.
a little
It
bit.
It could be overconfidence. Yeah.
Yeah, they certainly looked like they felt like they could probably win that one. Now though, the Hu Yi banned away, which you didn't even see last game. At first pick, Chulainn coming out for CAZ. So if you wanted a little bit more pressure for him, that'll do it.
I like it better than Kuzenbo.
Yeah.
And with this Osiris pick for Delnyy yet again, he's just going to be an absolute monster in the late game. I think CAZ needs to find an aggressive soul laner here, not necessarily the Kuzenbo. Now, this could be Chulainn in the soul lane, and with this Artio selection, that's a lot of flexibility between those 2 first picks from CAZ.
I like the Raijin again. I think Keegs getting the Hachiman is insane. I think that they should probably have not given that to him again. I'd rather they would have banned that instead of Ho Yi, seeing how he did last game on it. He seems super comfortable with it.
It's so awkward when somebody picks a god like Hachiman, and then the whole strategy is like, all right, make sure they don't get a Muzen, make sure they don't get Ho Yi, and then they still don't ban the god that he played in game number 1 here.
At least you can kill Muzen. At least you can camp him and kill him. Hachiman, he's on a horse riding away,
He has a dash, he has a horse, he has a sword and a bow.
He's very safe. He's a versatile man. Hachiman is a versatile god, really. He's able to get on out of there, no problem. Raijin picked up for CAZ, so one more time, wanted to see that on Elexum, because, I feel like he played it well that last game, and then the Nemesis pickup from Myth.
And more importantly, the way he played it was reactionary, the way Shalaber was mentioning, how every time Myth, specifically Jumpahhh, would go into the action, Elexum would be there prepared. He made the necessary rotation, and he just banged on those drums, finding Jumpahhh.
The Nemesis is just like the Sarkhet pick to me. He builds, if I remember correctly, he does build Blink on Nemesis. So it's the same playstyle as the Sarkhet. He's just going to blink in on the back line on either the Raijin or whoever their ADC is going to be. And he actually has a better chance of living this time because now he has a shield and a double dash to get away. So I think it's good.
And I agree with you. It feels like he's going almost like just like you were saying, Shalaber, still able to get to the back line, but a little bit safer here with that Nemesis pick. So, especially in response to Chulainn Artio here, totally.
So you were saying how he's going to use that double dash or shield to get away, but I think the opposite. He's going to use those aggressively to continue the chase, probably trying to force out the Raijin dash and then secure those kills.
Maybe, but Jumpahhh does love Blink. I will say that. He loves that active. I've seen him buy Blink before even getting beats. He'll start the game with Blink.
And that has to be one of the most annoying things as a mid laner, right?
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're able to kind of just outclear them in mid anyway, but then you can't really invade their speed because there's that 1 second window where if they blink in a level 1, they might steal it.
The most frustrating thing is if it doesn't get punished. If they get blinked, I'm in comms, I'm like, he doesn't have beads, we should be focusing him. And then he blinks on me, one-shots me, double dash down, they're like, oh, he's gone, man, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, there we go. This is what's so strong about having that deeper god pool. The soul pick gets the ban from KAZ, and then Thoth gets to be picked up by Myth, likely going to Crimson. But it's Artemis and Cabrakan that they end up picking up. Artemis feels kind of late game here, totally.
That is very unconventional. It is indeed late game, and that's not a bad idea. Now, the whole thought process is here just to burst the front line from Myth. That's going to be diving them. However, Artemis relies on crit, and if you go Thorns, if you go hide of me in line for Delny's Osiris, you're not going to be having a good time.
I love the Thoth pick for Crimson, especially with the way they start. If you notice, they put him by himself in mid, and that's just perfect for Thoth, because what does he struggle at? Clearing the waves. If you're by yourself and you have your two side lanes doing work, you just chill there under tower and wait until late game. It's perfect.
And that's what you want for your Thoth, to make it to the late game and start one-shotting. I mean, this composition for Myth, I mean, to me, totally, it just looks real safe. It looks like a safe comp, a lot of damage. Give me some of your final thoughts here.
I think that the control between Delnyy on this Osiris, Xing Tian as well, having a lot of control. Then they have the late game damage on Thoth and Hachiman. I just don't see Myth losing here.
I think Myth's comp is perfect. I think it fits their playstyle so well.
Yeah, this Myth comp looking real good. KAZ looking like I'm a little bit more execution heavy, so we're feeling Myth over here to take the full set. What about you, casters? What are you looking at?
Thoth has been the talk here for Crimson. A lot of it going through actually before we got into games today. It was one of those, is he going to play the Soul or is he going to focus on the Thoth? We've seen a lot of focus from Myth for the Thoth in the mid lane, and like it was mentioned, a lot of pressure.
Very surprised that KAZ decided to ban the Ganesh instead of the Thoth. If you're going to commit the Soul ban, in my mind, you have to commit the Thoth ban as well, because Crimson doesn't care which one he plays. He just wants one of those two gods. So by giving him one of the two, I don't think that was the right ban strategy from KAZ, who are really going all in with this Artemis pick in my mind. I mean, this is risky for Atonement in that duo lane, but he does look he has looked comfortable on it before. It's not a question of if he's comfortable on the god. You know he is. It's just a matter of that Hachiman is so good in the early game. Artemis is so bad in the early game. Keegs is the guy that everyone's looking at Myth. Atonement's the guy that everyone's looking for KAZ to try and stop the bleeding, basically. So it's a bit of a risk. But that being said, I have to say I love this Cabrakan pick from Mr. Turtle.
And already going at it, Bradley looking for that little bit of extra poke. Early crits thanks to the passive coming out from Atonement. And they're going to at least stop Myth from getting too aggressive, although immediately they rope around. They're still looking for the pressure, even though they have the lower health bars.
Yeah, this is a good adjustment from KAZ. This is what Myth did last game as well. They just have KeegsMate and Inbound start at the tower line and allow them to push the wave and try and invade. So this time, KAZ said, we're not going to let you do that, and try to box them out in the lane. Problem is, I'm not sure they'll be able to get the clear advantage, especially with Atonement using that third ability right before the wave meets, trying to go for poke.
And I feel like what we're seeing here, especially with the Xing Chen coming in with the Hachiman, is going to be a rough lane, I think, for Atonement coming through. A lot of hoping to see what he saw last game, where it's just, we're just going to sit over here and farm. We're not actually going to engage each other that much. No one's going to rotate over too often, I hope, and try to keep myself going as the rest of the map, the rest of the teams coming through and just kind of falling back. Not as many invades this time around.
Not quite, but I like what Crimson did. He actually started his own red buff, got the 2 mini creeps off of it without dropping the buff itself, and then went to the mid wave, which allowed him to hit level 2 right away. Now he can clear the back RPs a little bit easier, a little bit more safety, and still be able to get the majority of this mid wave, whereas Elexum has got no additional camps so far. He's only been focused on clearing that mid wave, and that's because he didn't go for a Bumba's Mask start. Without going for Bumba's Mask, it's too risky to go for those.
Now here at the beginning, you can see actually is Delnyy getting stunned away, looking to try and get that little bit of extra damage they need, but he's not. He's just too fast as he's getting away. The tower's there, although it's going to be caught up. Mr. Turtle with the early first blood, and now Jumpahhh looking to be the next one down as they go forward with the fight, forced to dash away. And that's going to be KAZ coming away once again with the first blood.
Really good fight there on the right-hand side for KAZ, and that's the adjustment that they made, picking up the sprint in response to the horrific emblem that Delnyy went for last game. You don't expect Osiris to lose that early fight, but getting that fire elemental stolen, not enough HP for Jumpahhh. He dashes away, and Delnyy, obviously without his own dash, and get a little bit lucky there for Mr. Turtle with the tremble actually pulling him back, but good accuracy by Hotaru with that smash down of the fist. which locked Delnyy in those trembles. Good first blood for CAZ. And on the good side of the map, too, you want to see them get a lead over here because Delnyy and Jumpahhh did a good job of pushing a lead in the early stages last game. Now, it didn't hold up all game long, but they got off to a good start.
Elexum going to get caught out. He's going for the dash, but Jumpahhh recognizes he's low and comes in to try and return it. Similar to what we saw at the beginning of the last game. So 2 games, 2 very close starts as Keegs is getting low as well. Bradley sitting in the back line, but Atonement, you are still early on in this Artemis phase, so you're not able to do as much. Artio is able to get some damage down, but they're not able to lock down the kill.
Keegs knowing exactly how long on that third ability for Atonement, just dashing out of it just in time, trying to bait Atonement in, say, I'm low, you can come kill me, just 1-3 is going to do it, but it wasn't in range. But look at where that Chulainn is coming, all the way around the back.
Slowly, surely coming in. KeegsMate recognizing it, but a little bit too late, going to dash through, but it's going to be the kill on down to the Hunter. KeegsMate not going to be able to sit around and farm right now as Chulainn still looking to have a little bit of fun, but ultimately his team is safe. They're able to get out. You can see Bradley and Atonement in the red and yellow, so just making sure they stay alive. Getting a kill out of it puts you ahead and comfortable here
and
for CAZ.
Comfortable is the perfect word, especially for Hotaru in that jungle. Again, a sub for this team, not on their main roster during the regular season. For him to get off to a great start like this, where he gets the assist on the first blood and now comes over and transitions that on the left side of the map. Now Atonement has a lead in that lane. This is a great start so far for CAZ.
And not the end of the world either. Normally you're used to seeing like best of 3s. We're going through a bracket here. This is best of 2s coming through. It's going to be just 2 game sets all day, today, tomorrow, Sunday, and accruing points similar to the way you see it through the split. 2 wins gets you 3 points.
And those are critical. So Myth getting off to a good start here by getting 3 points would put them in a great spot to qualify for Worlds. CAZ really need to get at least a point. You can't afford to get 2-0'd more than once, really. And even if you do get 2-0'd once, you've already put yourself in a tough spot if you want to make the comeback. So this is important, a really important game for both teams.
Keegs, I think at this point CAZ has recognized that he is a very integral part to Myth being successful, and they're spending a lot of time over there now, but the same thing can be said for the solo lane, as we do see Chulainn coming in, looking for the kill. Jumpahhh getting really low here as the Nemesis, and taken down now 3-1, and potentially trying to push that in as Delnyy, sitting at half health, has to jump over the wall, almost being followed by the Chulainn, but ultimately that tower, it's still 5 minutes, and it still hurts.
Another poor decision by Jumpahhh there in the dual lane. He gets his dash stunned out by Mr. Turtle the first half of it, and as soon as the second half comes out, and he's still in a perfect position to get ulted, Mr. Turtle just says, okay, thank you. You saw him actually kind of chuckle in his player cam. I think he knew that that was a little bit of a questionable decision there.
Elexum up into the ult, trying to get that damage down onto Crimson and Inbound, and ultimately kind of gaining a little bit of map pressure, goes for the mid camps now, and it's going to ensure them some farm.
Well, more importantly, that's Crimson having boots finished off. Elexum going for the Book of Thoth rush. I think he may have thought that Thoth was going to be doing the same. It's a popular start for that mid laner. And Elexum goes up into the ultimate because he knows that Crimson's dash is down. He got stunned out around that corner as Jumpahhh is able to answer back on the right-hand side onto Mr. Turtle. But Crimson having boots meant that he was just a little bit too fast for that ultimate to reach.
Now Xing going, not going to be able to grab anyone, and ends up having another ultimate just kind of poured down the drain there. Not going to be able to grab that up. Still has to wait for it. Very big impact if you can grab even just one and throw them to the sharks that your team is going to be waiting.
Without a doubt, but with missing it entirely, yeah, that feels real bad. But with Hotaru wasting his ultimate afterwards, you basically just look at it as, well, he ulted my ult to get the CC immunity, so it's a wash. Not as big of a deal. That does bring down Hotaru's gank potential by quite a bit. Now he has to be pre-transformed, basically, because that ultimate for Chulainn in the human form is so important to getting enough rage to be transformed on the gank.
Looking for the aggression, and actually Atonement being able to come out ahead of a lot of these trades just because the early spill from Keegs, he's not able to keep up as much, and that pressure, when you have passive crits, kind of hurts sometimes when you're going for the trades.
It only takes one of those crits to roll lucky, and all of a sudden you're winning the trade pretty heavily, especially with Atonement having finished off his boots and Keegs still sitting on just boots too. Love what Atonement's doing here also, freezing the wave, make Keegs come down and fight you on your side of the map so that you can try and get that solo kill.
Inbound coming over, but this is one of those groupings from Myth where they are looking for potential aggression. His ult is going to be coming up soon, but I just don't see them having it, as Jumpahhh actually is going to be looking for some kills here onto Hotaru, but he's not going to be able to isolate him out just enough. Bradley, Elexum, both going to be coming over to save their jungler.
And Jumpahhh actually has to expend the purification beads just to jump away, or dash away, I should say, from Bradley's cripple there on this Artio. That's why I was a little bit surprised to see the Nemesis pick into the Artio, even though it does so well against the warrior in the jungle, the guardian in the solo lane, and in support. It's just a little bit risky up against Artio because of that cripple.
Tusky thrown down, Rooted is inbound, and Bradley right behind him, potentially trying to set this one up, but he is a tanky Xing, and it's hard to eat through all of that health. They're doing it slowly but surely. The ult going to be coming through, tossing a bear, but going to be tossing him away to make sure he has a clear path back to the tower and back to the base.
There's that prot shred from Artio that can really make all of these Guardians who feel pretty comfortable maybe reconsider just how safe they are. Getting your ultimate for ultimate there still favors Myth Gaming. Getting Atonement's ult on cooldown allows Keegs to play much more aggressively in this lane. And that's one of the things that why I think this Artemis pick is actually pretty decent into the Hachiman. Even though it's late game for Artemis against early game for Hachiman, Hachiman wants to dash into you, use that EI Jutsu, stun you out, play aggressive right up in your face. But Artemis is that's exactly where she wants you. You can be trapped a lot easier at that close range. It sets up for that Tusky ultimate really easily. So Keegs has to try and poke out from a distance and then full commit, and that decision becomes a lot easier with Artemis' ult on cooldown.
And just not having to deal with Tusky makes team fights easier for you. You can group up a little bit better, not have to worry about that stun bouncing from person to person to person. So Myth potentially going to be looking for some more aggression over there, although Jumpahhh still heavily favoring this solo side, still just trying to get Delnyy pretty much back to the point where he was last time, the one-man zone.
Well, that's just kind of the console meta right now, is junglers spending plenty of time in the solo lane with their warriors. They just feel a little bit more comfortable over there because it's guaranteed farm. There is a lot of kill potential at times in the 2v1 or even the 2v2, especially with something like a Nemesis that shreds through these tanks like the Chulainn, like the Cabrakan, very easily with that ultimate.
I always like watching Jumpahh's position. Like every now and then, like once he crosses that 50% mark on the map, I kind of wait just to see if he is going to want to fight or if he's going to use a little bit better judgment. I mean, we saw equal parts last game where it was, hey, you're going in, you get a kill, and hey, you're going in and you just fed the other team. What is your strategy here? Right now, it's going to be waiting, hoping that CAZ will eventually move forward. But ultimately, like we've mentioned last game, CAZ really don't mind letting this play out.
No, they don't. And the other side, though, Myth's late game composition is really, really good this time around. I think they're heavily favored if this game goes into the really late game stages. I mean, Thoth is just about as good as it gets for a late game mage. His long range damage is just absurd. He can still put out the long range stuns, the big damage from a distance. Hachiman is still an ADC in the late game. I know we talk about him as being more of an early game hunter, but that still means that he can still do hunter damage late game, just maybe not quite as much as the Artemis. But Nemesis in the late game is an absolute nightmare for mages and hunters and warriors and guardians alike, because whoever Jumpahhh decides to go on in the late game is going to be feeling the pain. So Myth is okay with playing this one a little bit slower than they did the last game, especially with Jumpahhh falling a little bit behind early on. He's still down in XP slightly. He wants to try and just get to level 12, get that second relic, whether it's the Blink, whether it's the Aegis, could even go for something like a Sprint if he really wants to, and then you can try and reset and take the fight then whenever Jumpahh's caught up a little bit.
Looking potentially to cause some disruption here for CAZ. Actually going to get pulled back inbound. A little over half health and not too worried about it. Actually going for the ult onto Hotaru. Again, ult for ult trade, but the stun through the wall came through with Thoth. Not going to follow it up, but Jumpahhh, he wants the blood. You see he wants to fight. He's just forced to hold himself back. He recognizes the team doesn't want to go in. It's not the best scenario, but he still is thirsting for it.
And again, Inbound gets 2 ultimates just for his 1, so another slight win for Myth Gaming. That time I feel like Jumpahhh probably could have committed the ultimate onto Hotaru. I mean, his sprint did get popped just in response to Crimson and Jumpahhh coming around the corner. That could be an ultimate setup for Crimson, but that's a free hand ult. You don't have a lot of setup for it, so pretty risky to go for it, but we've seen Myth play that confident style before, and I'd like to see them try and do it again.
Oracle Harpy is going to go their way, and Atonement has been the one that I think have highlighted the most, especially him versus KeegsMate. That's actually a very big determining factor through this match. Do you think he's going to go for a different build now because he's on the Artemis? Is he going to kind of factor in some different items?
Could be. An early Executioner, I think, would work well because of that extra attack speed from that steroid that Artemis has. I feel like that could work out pretty well. KeegsMate in a little bit of trouble here on the left-hand side with BradleyRJ showing up, but here comes Jumpahhh as well.
Tusky going to come down, though, and immediately the damage return. Jumpahhh actually taking quite a few hits, and Inbound's going to get hit immediately after the stun comes through. Does not have his ult available just yet, and into the back is Hotaru looking for at least some damage. A kill potentially onto Keegs, who, as we see, the horse is going to be the saving grace for him. But unfortunately, Xing does not have a horse.
Yeah, just not quite as much disengage potential from the Xing. Not sure what Myth thought they were going to get there after that Tusky was popped. That should be an immediate disengage. Now Jumpahh's in a lot of trouble because he's crippled out by BradleyRJ, jumped in on by Elexum. Those Taiko drums going to try and pull him back in, and they get the damage, and Bradley's going to finish it off.
Solo, one hit, in fact, is all it takes for KeegsMate to be able to clean up the support on the other side. So keeping it 5-3, and Keegs still looking to get aggressive. Gold Fury started up, but another kill. Crimson comes through. CAZ started the Gold Fury, took too much damage, and set themselves up perfectly for the Thoth.
Oh, stun just off the mark there from Crimson. That could have resulted in another kill. And look at Keegs still going all the way deep for Atonement, who's all the way out of mana, but Elexum shows up, puts good damage onto Keegs, who's still willing to take this fight.
Looking for the 1v1, or the 2v1 at this point, as we see Crimson coming through in the backline. Not going to be able to find those extra hits, but Keegs, too low, not comfortable, going to go ahead and fall back. And Mr. Turtle and Delnyy both rotated, but that's about where they stop. They get into the mid lane. They're going to kind of farm push wherever they can. And ultimately, that comes out 5-4. Now Myth kind of closing that kill gap.
I wonder, I don't know what Atonement did that delayed his stack so much. But remember, Atonement got his boots finished first. Atonement had the lead in this lane. And all of a sudden, Keegs just creates 51 stacks more than him. I don't know what happened there. Don't know what happened to Crimson there to get that kill onto Elexum, but got that without much help there in the mid lane, maybe just inbound alongside with him. Atonement being this far behind in stacks is frankly just baffling. I don't know what he was doing there where he wasn't stacking, but you need to get that Devourer's Gauntlets as soon as possible. As soon as you hit that gold mark, you gotta back and start stacking it up, because now he is way weaker than KeegsMate.
Hotaru coming into the back. Keegs onto the horse, going to be able to get that little bit of damage down and tossed back to the Sharks once again, and just erased off the map by Crimson. Bradley now going to be the main target. His stun's going to be good. Tusky is going to be good as well as Atonement. A late game play like that for Artemis is great, but you just don't have the damage just yet. All it is a disengage, and you can see Bradley's still not feeling too safe.
Jumpahhh in a little bit of trouble, and good retribution shield to make sure that he doesn't take too much damage. Atonement, the only one who can still step up and try and stop this Gold Fury push from Myth.
Jumping in, Delnyy trying to just get the zone. This is going to be pretty standard coming down from him. A good trap to at least keep the aggression going. He's looking for the slow still, looking for the kill to come through, and actually will end up finding Atonement with the Gold Fury being picked up by the rest of his team. So now they're swinging even heavier over on this left-hand side.
For everyone at home who's a little bit less familiar with the pro meta and who, maybe loves Artemis and says, why don't we see more Artemis in pro play? That little 10-second clip of Osiris just running her down and murdering her without anything that she can really do, even hitting the trap, which is her best form of self-peel, is exactly why we don't see more Artemis. Even the extra movement speed, from the steroid doesn't matter. Delny's able to close that gap, find that kill without much issue. Has to use the ultimate and the thorns, as well as his horrific emblem, but it's still just easy pickings for Delnyy coming out of that solo lane.
And the big goal with that, even if you invest so much into it, is just keep Artemis down. Like we've mentioned, late game, as when she can shine bright. That play with the Tusky would have been glorious had you had 3 more items online, and you would have been able to get an easy quadra kill through there. But without having that extra oomph, that extra hit come through, you just don't really have anything to close that gap, and you end up getting chased down by an Osiris.
Maybe even some extra stacks on that Devourer's Gauntlets ends up at least 1 kill. Keegs now done with his stacks, 50 still ahead of where Atonement is.
Inbound going to throw back Bradley, and Artio looking to get chunked down. 1 more hit is all it takes, and Inbound going to be able to get that with the tick, as the rest of CAZ is looking to try and fight back. Mr. Turtle rotating over, a solo kill on the left-hand side for KeegsMate onto Atonement, which is just showing exactly where they put that pressure. Jumpahhh going in and looking for that damage, actually going to be able to block him, dash away from the wall, and Delnyy still looking for the fight.
Elexum has to use the Aegis as well. Delnyy going to be able to chase him down really easily. So much damage onto this Raijin, who's not going to be able to get away from Delnyy. He's going to get that one. Mr. Turtle 1 HP underneath the tower. Myth just can't decide who wants it.
The shots from Thoth, they go a little bit further than you think when that glyph comes up. And now Hotaru caught between 3. They're all low, and there is a tower standing between them, so it's going to be hard to clean it up. But they're able to tank that appropriately, bounce it back and forth, so they come through, they get the kill, and now they get the tower as well. And Keegs He came through with a solo and the split push.
And this is brutal. To get soloed and then lose both of your towers in the duo lane is quite literally worst case scenario outside of losing the game. I mean, that is brutal for Atonement, especially on a god like Artemis, who just has no way to get away from Keegs. Should he even push up to where the tier 2 used to be, Keegs going to be able to chase him down fairly easily. And look at the difference in gold and experience. I mean, we're talking not a couple hundred in Myth's favor. We're talking a couple thousand in their favor in both categories.
And about 10 minutes ago, this game was 5-3, 5-4 in favor of CAZ. Now 12-5 as Myth have just kind of turned it around and taking the fights. And you kind of expect, you see the Artemis, she's getting picked on at this point. You see Elexum getting picked on at this point. And Crimson, we mentioned it. If you ban out the Soul, you want to get rid of the Thoth. He's happy with either, and you can see exactly why. He's 6-0-3.
Yeah, just the wrong set of bans in my mind from CAZ Esports, and that just comes down to being less familiar with this scene and not being able to get all the work in that you need to get in order to be ready for this set.
Trying to catch him out right now. The Xing once again going for the ult, going to throw Mr. Turtle against the wall. The rest of the team coming in and shots through the wall, but Crimson's getting low. The stun's going to be good. Mr. Turtle is low, and the team is just kind of split on which target they want to go for. Jumpahhh chasing down one, Delnyy chasing down another as they're in the boxing match. The stun is going to be good. Hotaru getting low, Mr. Turtle getting low. They just need to find one kill, and they're going to find both.
Nice play there by Mr. Turtle, but still just not quite enough to find the kill. Hotaru falls as well, as you mentioned. Now Atonement's got to be worried that Delnyy might just ignore this tier 1 tower and go for the kill anyways, but look at where Elexum is coming in to pincer Delnyy in between these 2 towers.
Bradley taken down. That's going to be 3 more kills now, 16-5, and potentially going to falter that. I mean, Delnyy coming through, he's getting low, but he's juking like a madman. Still going to get taken down, but he stayed alive and created a lot of space for, say, a Fire Giant.
And not quite as quick on the objective burn as they had last game, as Crimson actually has to use the Aegis just in case he got hit by that knockup from the Fire Giant. Jumpahhh going to take over zoning duties, but Fire is still fairly healthy. It's taking a long time for Myth to do this. In fact, they decide they'd rather just drop it.
Jumpahhh versus Atonement. KeegsMate coming in, though, and we've already seen him solo it, and when he has some help from his team, it's not going to be a problem to clean that one up. And now following it up in a similar fashion, he's going for the towers, and this is just where he goes. He recognizes objectives, gold, everything that's going to lean in his favor, and they're going to be able to push this up. There is 2 towers. There are 2 towers standing left for CAZ at this 20-minute mark.
And that's why Keegs seems to really favor this Titan's Bane build, is that he's been able to get towers very quickly in the early game, and there's no item better for hunters to push down towers than Titan's Bane. It's nothing else is going to equal how much damage you're going to be doing to those structures. Even with extra attack speed from other items, Titan's Bane makes you hit so much harder onto those structures because of the 33% pen onto the objective.
Fire Giant once again started, this time getting burnt down a little bit faster, and we can see Crimson is full health this time, so not worried about that. Delnyy trying to be the one-man zone, but it's not going to be enough. Hotaru going in, looking to try and take it. Myth going to be able to confirm that, and if CAZ has committed too hard, they're going to lose one. Bradley now caught out. The ult from Nemesis shredding his health, and Protections inbound picks up the kill for that one, and they're going to grab 2 plus the Fire Giant and look to siege down these last couple towers.
Delnyy using that Lord of the Afterlife going onto both backliners. Big play for Mr. Turtle to quickly kill KeegsMate. Elexum going to get Crimson as well. Nice turnaround by CAZ.
Coming in, Mr. Turtle doing his best. He's all alone, and we see Inbound going in deep under the Phoenix right now, trying to juke out the last couple autos, but Atonement's going to be able to pick him up. Actually, a 3 wipe for both sides. Myth taking a huge loss there and trying their best to try and find something out of it, but Mr. Turtle's just too tanky.
Atonement's going to be the biggest damage dealer alive, on either side, so that's why CAZ Esports is pushing up, but he's got 2 pretty tanky physical damage dealers to worry about. Mr. Turtle going in with the stun, going to find it, but not quite enough to get the kill on the Jumpahhh. Delnyy will finish him off underneath the tier 2.
Delnyy still looking for some aggression. Can't handle the exact 1v1 under the tower. But as long as he can get that poke down, keep Atonement either locked here and low or forced to go back to the base, it's still going to set them up. 2 members only left with the Fire Giant from Myth, though, and that was a really big loss for them.
Very, very big, especially losing Keegs, especially losing Crimson, the 2 that you really want to have that Fire Giant buff on. They both end up falling. Good response by CAZ to an over-aggressive push by Myth Gaming, and that's not the first time we've said that so far this set. As this event goes on here at the SCL Fall Finals, Myth is going to need to reel it in a little bit, especially against the teams that aren't are a little bit more competitive than CAZ.
And we had mentioned it, where it was CAZ having a lot of long games, being used to that. And even now with Bradley getting tossed back, it's actually looking like a ton of shred coming down from Myth. They're prepared for that, but they kind of prefer those longer games. They let the other team get they will get ahead and then wait for them to make that mistake, then capitalize on it. And they've been able to do so quite a few times in the split, not having as much success here against Myth.
No, losing 2 frontliners on each side of the map. One on the left-hand side, that's Bradley, who at least took 2 ultimate cooldowns. Delnyy did commit the Lord of the Afterlife to chase down Hotaru, who, without a sprint, has no real good answer to getting away from that Osiris. And this is one of those instances where picking up Thorns on a frontliner who's this far behind isn't going to be too helpful for him.
Going in, trying to find the damage, looking for the Phoenix primarily. With only 2 members with Fire Giant, it's not going to get burnt down quite as easily, but when there's only 2 defending on the side of CAZ being joined by a 3rd member, it's going to be a little bit easier, but the hard part is trying to break it down. They have just enough defense, enough health on the one side to be able to kind of keep it going, but Keys will be able to find 1 kill, looking to try and turn it into another. He's getting low himself, the Aegis comes through, but Elexum has now kind of full committed very heavily into the front. Now CAZ is going to get pushed back. Myth don't get the Phoenix, but they do take out Atonement.
And that's just the long-range damage. I mean, all of that damage came from Crimson over the wall and then Keegs with the mounted archery. And that's a lot of long-range damage that Artemis just has no real answer for, especially with having both of his relics down on cooldown.
Setting themselves up. Portal Demon about to come back up, so they could potentially fall back, spend some of the gold they've earned from the tower sieges, and come in and be ready to contest that. Stop CAZ from getting it is really the primary goal right there. And CAZ, they're at a good point to try and fight back. They've been able to get the damage turned around, but they have to focus down. I've been seeing Crimson and Keegs getting way too large numbers for them to live too long in these team fights.
And they're only getting bigger because Keegs just finished off Odysseus Bow. That's 40% extra attack speed, and that's before you factor in the passive where that chain lightning effect is going to be running through the team fight, spreading out his damage from a distance. And Crimson just finished off Rod of Tahuti. So if you thought that Thoth was hurting before, it's only getting worse now. CAZ is going to have a tougher time trying to take those comeback fights with how many items Myth has underneath their belt at this point.
When it comes down to it, you can just count. That's 15,000 gold kind of swinging in their favor. 24 minutes in, 24-9. But we have seen CAZ mount pretty decent defenses underneath their Phoenixes. So coming through, as long as they're kind of prepared for that, honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing them just give up this tier 2. Yes, it's going to be some gold you have to lose, but you at least save yourself a little bit of health, some ult, something to fall back on under the Phoenix.
1,500 to drop in the bucket compared to what Myth has right now.
As they come through, and that damage is just going to be good. Elexum looking for whatever he can. Delnyy is by himself, but Delny's not really worried about it. He's low. The rest of his team's just taking up the tower. They're not too upset about the way things are going. And just into the back line, no problem. Crimson's going to go ahead and find that shot, and that's kind of why you don't want to fight under the tier 2.
Okay, yeah, it's a reminder. Ban Thoth against Crimson. Ban it. It just makes everyone's life easier.
Delnyy right now looking to get low, and he's getting chased away. He's actually going to be able to walk right through those pillars. Bradley is going to be the return kill as Keegs is going to chase him down, potentially looking to try and find something, but again, the distance being the big advantage. Turtle taking a spill as well. 2 left right now for CAZ, and that opens up a Phoenix if we see Myth want to go for it. They do have Delnyy a little low, so they can't necessarily go for him. Crimson, the Aegis, saves his life. And we see just another kill. That's 4-man wipe, and CAZ kind of fell. Like, they just fell.
Yeah,
one by one.
Chasing it after having Elexum get sniped out by Crimson, just not the right play. I mean, yeah, I know some members of Myth were a little bit poked out, but the lowest member was Delnyy, and he's got a ton of HP in that build, plus a Stone of Gaia, so he's getting plenty of regen with that HP as well. Just an unwise decision to push up for CAZ, who, as you mentioned, their Phoenix defense hasn't been so bad. Let Myth come to you. Give up fire, give up tier 2s. Those don't matter when you're this far behind. They're going to be equal. They're going to be just as strong as they are already. So you may as well try and get your best defensive posture that you can. That's always going to be underneath your Phoenix. And in this situation, CAZ just took a fight that they probably shouldn't have.
And now it's going to be 18,000 separating these two teams. Fire Giants probably the next call here for Myth as they want to go over. Elexum has his ult. At this point in the game, you have kind of 2 options. We're either going to hard defend, we're going to pull everyone back into the base, we're going to make sure that we don't lose another Phoenix, or you get a little brave and you send someone forward to try and steal the Fire Giant. At this point, it's going to be way too late for them to rotate over, but that could have been something going through their head. As you can see, they're taking that positioning very importantly. They're going through, making sure no fire minions are pouring in, they're keeping the Titan healthy as much as they can, and trying to set up a defense for the mid and the left Phoenix.
Now, I don't mind the idea for CAZ to kind of if they could have turtled into one of these back harpy camps, keep it warded, and try and jump out and, you know, jump scare someone basically and insta-kill them with the Raijin ultimate, but this is an equally good idea. Just sit underneath your Phoenix, try and get your defense here because this is where you found your most success.
Inbound going into the back, not going to be able to pull anyone, but he will at least be able to pull a lot. Crimson, you don't need the setup if you can get a double kill like that, a triple kill as he comes through with the Thoth racing one after one. After one, the Phoenix falls down. There's only 2 members left defending this Titan right now, and Myth are going to be running in another kill, essentially a quadra being picked up, and Jumpahhh taking that one away. Elexum does find the return kill in the fountain, but Myth find their second win.
What a play there by Myth Gaming's mid laner, and there's a reason that we've talked so much about his Thoth so far, you know, how well he can play on it. This is the idea that you need to keep that out of his hands because he's just so good on it. I mean, the long-range damage, he was doing so much. He was the setup for himself a lot of times, using the stun to set up for the hieroglyphic assault consistently throughout that game. You just got to take it away from him.
And so many times we saw the distance being the big favor.
Yeah.
You have Keegs being able to shoot a little bit further every now and then with some of those basics, which towards the end of the game, they hit very hard.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, you could see Crimson one shot after one shot, either using his one or just the final judgment coming through and erasing members. There were a couple team fights where he was really just impacting them with no return onto him.
Without a doubt. And that's why this has been a pick that's so talked about with him. And overall, all of Myth looked better that game, I think. Jumpahhh still had a couple questionable decisions in the early game, and he's going to need to clean those up as Myth move on. But getting their 2-0 here, you can't complain with the results. CAZ just not quite enough to compete with Myth Gaming.
But Myth, they grab their 3 points, and the analysts are going to go through exactly how they did it in game number 2.
We are ready here. Oh, sure, we're ready to go through for you. No problem. Thank you for tossing it over there, Caster's desk. We saw Myth look good in that set, 2-0 over CAZ Esports. I mean, totally, they kind of were who we thought they were.
That's right. The man could play Thoth. Crimson, the Warm God Wonder, at least in the online portion. He showed us a little bit of life in the soul, and I'm surprised that CAZ honestly didn't look back at the online portion tapes and just banned that one away.
It's weird because you don't want to ban Thoth top 2. You just don't.
Okay.
There are just more priority gods than that. I think that what they should have done is try and take it away from him maybe. If Elexum could play it, that's what I would do in that situation. But yeah, it was just all Crimson the entire game. He carried.
They banned away the Soul in the secondary ban phase and the Ganesh instead of the Thoth, and that definitely punished him.
Yeah.
And not only did Crimson punish him, but also Delnyy playing this Osiris was just an absolute beast, zoning away so many CAZ members.
And Delnyy, I mean, he played the Osiris in game 1, I believe, right? So, I mean, he gets to just stay in a comfortable groove. It almost feels like on that Osiris. Unkillable, it felt like. I mean, he died a couple times, but like you said, I mean, even popping off, I think we heard he got a cleanup kill on the Hotaru, and I mean, he clearly is a force for that team.
I mean, around the 15-minute mark, he zones away Atonement and Elexum, kills Atonement in the process.
Yep.
The team picks up the Gold Fury. What more can you want from your soul laner?
Delnyy, Osiris, I would say, is Delny's best god.
Yeah.
You saw it throughout the entire split. He's very comfortable on Osiris.
And let's come back a little bit here and talk about it. I mean, because, I mean, as good as Delnyy was, I mean, there were some times where it felt like Crimson was setting up for himself. I mean, we heard the casters talk about it a little bit, but I mean, the man was making it happen on this Thoth pick, man. He was lighting it up. Totally.
And it wasn't just him that was making the plays. It was Inbound with the Xing, finding multiple people sometimes to line up that final judgment. That's what you really need to do. Just trust your support and your soul laner to do their job so you get some free fire in the backline.
Yeah, I think that both the tanks on Myth and as well as Jumpahhh was frontlining really well as well. The early game, it was the same thing. I think Jumpahhh, he had some questionable decision-making, but it doesn't matter.
I mean, that triple kill at the end there basically spoke for
huge.
itself there. That was the whole game from Myth Gaming. It was just relying on Crimson's damage at the late portion.
And they could. I mean, Crimson was playing just that well. They could certainly rely on his damage. But, I mean, another one that played really well from here in this game, I mean, Keegs looked so good in this game for them there, too. I mean, once again, Keegs goes that Hachiman pick and just continues to look comfortable.
And we actually saw a lot of action in the soul lane, but during that whole action of a team fight, Keegs finds a solo kill onto Atonement around the 16-minute mark. He pushes so far deep that he gets his team a tier 2 tower, another 1,500 gold, and as if the Myth weren't that far ahead enough as it was, you know, just adding that a cherry on top.
Keegs is just so consistent. He's amazing. I think going forward, CAZ needs to do more research. on the other NA teams, and they need to play more aggressive.
That's what it seemed like to me as well. As a solo laner jungler combination, you don't really get that much pressure if you're relying on a Guardian in that solo lane, and getting Cabrakan going for the Kuzenbo. It's not been working out for CAZ. So like you were mentioning, I think they need to go back to the drawing board.
I think that they were playing for the late game. I think that's what their mindset was, drafting all those Guardians, but they're making too many mistakes early on, and they can't even get to that point.
Maybe not able to get a chance to let that composition fully shine for him, but someone who did shine, that said, we do have a player interview over here at Grow. Why don't you go ahead and take that one away for me?
Thank you very much, Desk. I'm joined by Inbowned, the support for Myth Gaming. And Bobby, that was a pretty good first set. How important was it for you guys to get those the 2 wins and the 3 points early?
It was really needed against CAZ. Since it's 3 games, you get 3 points for the best of 2. We had to come in strong and beat the EU team. Had to show NA is still better than EU.
Were you surprised that Crimson got Thoth? I mean, that's like the talk of the town, is when this guy's on that god, he looks so much better than everyone else really on the field. I mean, to get it that late in the draft, too, that must have been pretty exciting.
Yeah, as soon as we thought the Thoth opened, we were guaranteed picking it. There was no reason to not pick it. They actually banned the Thoth over, or the Soul over his Thoth, which was a little surprising, but they saw it the previous game, so they thought that he was going to play it again, apparently.
Delnyy on that Osiris in the solo lane, that was a priority pick for you guys. How important is it for you guys to get pressure on that solo side of the map? Jumpahhh did a great job of it in game 1 and in game 2 a little bit. How important is that for you guys?
We kind of play around the side lanes, so we play Delnyy and Jumpahhh play together. So getting Jumpahhh and Delnyy more early game based gods is huge, so they can fight that 2v2 and maybe look for invades and look for the plays on that side.
A lot of what Europe was talking about was that they feel very comfortable if the game goes late, but to have guys like Crimson and KeegsMate on your team, I mean, that's got to be a comfortable position for you guys as well.
Yeah, we love playing late also. Keegs and Crim, some of the best team fighting players. Just huge having them on the team and having them late game.
That was your first time playing against Europe here on LAN. How different was it than playing against an NA team?
Europe just plays really slow. Like even PC console, they just play incredibly slow. And I mean, I guess we were ready for it, but we just had to look for the fight, and they didn't really look for anything.
All right, Bobby, congratulations on your 2-0. Great job. That's Myth Gaming support Inbowned. So back to the desk as they get ready for set number 2.